So here are just my bucket list in moment one. So the moment one is preparing learners. I think that is these components: the fluency in the sprints, videos and visuals, literature, real-life context, vocabulary, and targets. The only one of those pieces that we have in Engage New York is the fluency in sprints. And that is, their purpose is to prepare the learner. I put application problems somewhere else because it's not always, sometimes it prepares you for that lesson, but sometimes it's a review or an application. So in the fluency, lots of people choose which ones are best for their kids, and sometimes it's a review and sometimes it's a preparation. And I think a lot of people are really careful about making sure the kids have manipulatives if they need to have them. So like in a number talk I saw in a first grade class, every little kid has connected to their toolkit on a little silver ring, a sheet of strategies. So all the first grade strategies, they have little pictures. So they can sit with their strategies and have a strategy or have their toolkit if they need it. Some kids don't, some kids do. But allowing them to live there if they need to. In the sprints, and I'm going to show you a picture, we've been talking about, yes, fluency is good. Yes, we want to get to that kind of 3-second NCTM mental speed, but allowing it to look different. So like Heather said, maybe instead of having the whole sheet, they could do column 1 for a minute and then column 2 for a minute instead of side A and side B. It was really effective, and I'll show you a picture. Every kid sets their own goal each day. And so they're racing against the clock for themselves, not against their peers, and then celebrating their own goal success. Also, giving them a model or giving them tools if they need it. So picking out a part, talking about the model like a number talk. So I'll show you what the picture looks like. But if you take the set, the little chunk that has the pattern in it, try it as a class. Let them talk as partners. Give them a strategy. Let them have a tool if they need it. And then go ahead and time it out. And then talk about the pattern and how did that pattern help. So then you're lifting out the purpose of the sprint that may not be obvious to them on their own in the sprint. Videos and visuals. How many people here already use videos? Lots of people learn Zillion. Kids really get hooked into that. We just recently did a whole video on arrays and real life arrays and where they see that. They got just super excited about that. And then, of course, 5 Little Frogs we did the other day. Visuals, lots of visuals and anchor posters. Literature, that used to be big and we don't do it as much anymore, but I think even for first grade right now, some of the contexts are really challenging. And we used to think, the concepts are challenging. We used to think, teach the concept, then put it in context. But a lot of first grade teachers and second grade teachers find, put it in context first, and then the concept is more accessible. Vocabulary, we just talked about. We know that good practice is our kids need to be able to pronounce the word. I heard somewhere, if you cannot pronounce it, it's like not knowing the letter of the alphabet. It doesn't have a hook to hang the hat on. They have to be able to pronounce it. They have to know the kid-friendly definition. They have to see it in an example. And so there is that pre-teaching of vocabulary that happens. They can't open the door to the math problem or the directions if they don't have the vocabulary. Greater than, less than is a perfect example in the younger grades. But there's a lot of vocabulary in the older grades. And weaving that in. And then, of course, targets. That's a type of scaffolding called cueing. So many people do targets in the beginning. But think about, how does it wrap around in your debrief? And are they able to summarize? Do they know why they're doing what they're doing today? It doesn't have to be the exact standard. It can be kid language and those math practices. I just heard a demonstration teacher yesterday say, you know what, I'm spending more time in my debrief on math practices than on the standard. And I said, really, why is that? She said, because I think it comes first. I think it's the horse before the cart. If they have the math practices, the content will be more easily accessible. So here's some pictures of some of that. Maybe. Kid-friendly targets, and really thinking about those math practices every day. We're going to watch this again in the debrief and see how it connects. What math practice are we using and why? Having the kids talk about, what do you predict we're going to learn today? How did you apply that today? And having that be those bookends in your lesson. Kid-friendly vocabulary, they're all on Schoology. I know it takes time to go pull them. Ask for help. Any of your coaches, I would be happy to help you pull them forward for a module, put them in a flip chart for you. Having the kids repeat them. I heard somebody talk about math notebooks. Here's an example of, I don't know if I can pull it up, but here's an example of the problem set. So they folded it in half. this classroom, and so they did column A and column B instead of side A and side B. This was the set that the teacher chose to talk about first. It took about 30 seconds, not too long. 4 times 3, 4 times 3 tenths, 4 tenths times 3, 4 tenths times 3 tenths, 4 tenths times 3 hundredths. So they had a second to do it by themselves, a you do, we do, turned to a partner, talked about their strategy. Then she, as a teacher, pulled it together, gave them the strategy, made sure they were solid in it, talked about the pattern, had them set their own goal, did it, and then anybody who met their goal on the second column was able to stand up and celebrate. So it gave everybody access to the speed idea. This is real life context, second grade, subtracting across zeros. I don't know if anybody here has taught intermediate and then primary, but I taught fourth grade. Subtracting across zeros was a month-long battle, maybe, right? Maria knows. And now they're teaching it in second grade to mastery. So it's really quite surprising. We had a class that just couldn't handle it. So we just retaught the whole lesson in the context of a minion buying a necklace for his mom. And they had bills, and they had to go to the bank, and they couldn't buy, it cost $73, and they had a $100 bill. The whole idea of switching out these bills to the bank, putting it in a context, you could just see their light bulbs. I don't have a $10 bill. I don't have a $1 bill. The bank only does fair trades. And so you could really hear I know, they were like, your bank won't give you that. It was really cute because we acted it out for them. But that real life context really supported their learning. And then, of course, we just did the whole video with the real life arrays as an intro to that unit, as a moment one. And then, I don't know, did you guys show the video 5 frogs recently? So they're subtracting. The concept development was frogs on a log. So, of course, they sang the song every day and they acted it out. So that was a moment one and they were really excited. So in your moment one column, I can even go back to the list. Think about maybe one new idea. There might not be any new ones for you, but one you'd like to try. That wasn't nice. And talk to a partner. What's one moment idea you'd like to try? If I use the board, does the computer stop working? Like I lost the mouse. It doesn't like my PowerPoint. I was just going to go back a slide, but it didn't like that.
We did work together today.